So, and now it is my pleasure to introduce Leah. Leah, I get that. Sometimes I want to call you Leah Layla, but
A lot of
both
people
beautiful
do.
names, but I'm just saying, I know that Layla comes first. So Layla is not only a scholarship recipient, but she's really one of the most inspirational people that I've had the privilege of meeting. So if she looks familiar, and that's great that you're standing right there, if she looks familiar, it's probably because you may have seen her as a member of our newly formed cheerleading team. And man, she can really do some things out in the
Thank you. Thank you.
and yes, and her coach Drew Yoder is right over there. He's so proud of her.
I have to embarrass him a little.
Yeah, of course we have to embarrass him. Anyone else you want to embarrass?
Oh, I'm
This
sure I
it's
can
your
think of
privilege
many.
at this point.
I don't wanna go too hard.
Okay, well, later, if you decide to want to do that, you can do that when you're speaking. So, so not only is she able to, be very diligent and amazing in all of her academic pursuits, but if you watch her out on the court, it's like, I don't know how she even does these things, but that's why I'm not a cheerleader and never was. So, but today she's here to share her inspirational story with all of us, and I am so proud to introduce her to the stage. Please welcome her. Oh.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Oh, as you can tell, I am not Dr. V's height. um, okay. Second. Okay. Hello, good morning. It's so nice. Oh, thank you. It's so nice to be here. I'm so grateful to um, be able to stand here before you today and speak. Thank you to the regents, donors, the foundation committee, just everyone. I'm very grateful to be here. And I'm excited to share what I have to share. So my name is Leeah. I'm a third-year student here at Lee College. As Dr. V mentioned, I'm on the cheer team. I'm very involved around campus. I also work as a peer mentor. And I'm a 2022 Dayton High School graduate. And yes, shout out to Miss Fonno over there. um, and for those of you who don't know, Dayton is a rural town about 45 minutes away from here. It's next to Liberty, which is where there's another Lee College campus, so you may be familiar with it. And I want to take you all back to Dayton, back in time to my old home that completely changed the trajectory of my life. So I had a pretty normal childhood up until the age of about 10. My parents just fought a lot, that was about it. But my dad, just to put it bluntly, he is someone who's pretty manipulative, he's narcissistic, and he insisted on being a breadwinner and provider despite not having a job to show for it. And we lived off of my grandfather, and my dad had forced my mom to stay at the home during that time. So needless to say, when my grandpa had passed, we were no longer able to keep the apartment we were living in. And after that, it was a day or three in a hotel, and then it was my mother and two children, my brother and I, um, huddled together on a mattress in an abandoned barn that had long been claimed by nature. The slanted floor was a rough and dusty concrete suited for cattle. The walls were dilapidated tin and rotting wood. There were bugs and rats and snakes and fears of whatever could be out in the woods around us, and it was the cold winter to top it all off. There was no door, there was no insulation, there was no water, there was no electricity, there was no food, and there was no hope. I lived there for about 7 years after that, or almost my entire adolescence up until around 17. And although my living conditions, well, with my living conditions that I was enduring throughout that time, along with emotional abuse from my father, a lot of it stemming in spiritual abuse, where our spiritual and religious beliefs were used against us to manipulate us. With that, it led me into a 2-month-long episode of psychosis by my sophomore year of high school. And I like to be open about that now at this point in time where I am able to be at a good point in my life because I want to destigmatize that. It was terrifying. I was depressed. I was anxious. I always felt out of body. And I was experiencing delusions and hallucinations. But it was all stress induced, and it's not always this big crazy thing that you see in movies. I was really just a struggling kid. And it wasn't so reality altering that I was incoherent, but it was enough to cause me to drop out of high school for the next 2 years. Although my experiences with poverty, abuse, and mental illness have been completely pivotal, I have no intention of it to be something to pity me for. After I became aware of the abuse and neglect I was going through, I took action with that, and I encouraged my mom to look for housing and leave my father. Now we are in a rental home for the past 4 years. And I made the choice to return to public school in that time. I made up lost credits and I graduated with the class that I had grown up with. But it still felt like I was starting from scratch. My family was getting back on their feet. And I went from being a straight A honor roll student my whole life to grades having to be the last thing I could think of. I was really frustrated with myself and the world around me. I was learning how to live, I was unlearning abuse, and I didn't know what I would do or how I could afford anything else after high school. But I'm very grateful that Dayton High School pushed for Lee College. I'm forever grateful that I got to meet advisors, take my TSI, and apply here to the school. I knew I couldn't handle living on my own after everything I had been through on a huge campus with no money to pay for it and not many life skills yet. So I was extremely excited to take the chance with Lee's first semester free, and the excitement only continued. I cannot begin to describe the gratitude and hope Foundation scholarships instill in myself and the entire student body, really, and everyone here today, I'm sure. If I was not blessed with your help, I would not be speaking or standing here before you today whatsoever. In my 3 years at Lee College, I've been granted 3 Foundation scholarships. And since the Foundation looks to support as many students as possible and doesn't just look at GPA, the Dick and Brenda Dawson Scholarship welcomed me in my first year, back in fall 2022 and spring 2023, despite my lackluster high school transcript. I had felt valued at that point, and it really gave me a push to recognize that my education mattered. I was then awarded and blessed with the E.L. Gunn Scholarship last semester in fall 2024, and Thaman Textbook Scholarship this semester, spring 2025, which really surprised me and I was really happy to receive. And with your continuous help, and of course all the support at Lee, I was able to try my hand at pre-engineering. I completed my standard courses, but I found out that the major-related courses were not working for me, and so I returned to an age-old friend, an interest I've had all my life, and a very healthy coping skill as well that I've had is art. So the piece I brought today is right here, for those of you maybe in the back can't see. I wanted to capture my look to creativity for answers in this piece, and the story behind it is that during my time living in that barn, it would flood in every single storm. It didn't matter how large or small. If it was storming, it was flooding in there, at least a bit all along the ground. And during the first instance of that, when we were getting used to living in that place, it was a very depressing fact, and I just remember my mother's pain, having to see her children living through that. But as the very carefree child I was always looking for something optimistic to do, something creative. And so I took tin foil, aluminum foil, and I folded it into a little tin foil boat. And so that's what is in my drawing. It's me as a child floating my little tin foil boat in my flooding home. And I continue to be creative. Last semester, I began pursuing an associate in arts, and I plan to graduate this fall. My goal is to become a professional artist, such as in galleries, And I'm already seeing improvement with that, and I'm able to get connected with resources such as our own art gallery here at Lee. And I actually don't have much training with painting, but again, with your donations and help, I'm able to take classes that helped me to get to this point, and I only want to keep taking them and improving. So I'm in a life drawing class currently in art history, and I just wanted to shout out Professors Poirot, Professor Herzberg, Professor Akers, as they've all really inspired me and helped me to learn different techniques that can bring me to this point. I'd like to continue it. And so I'm exploring four-year institutions, but I do plan to transfer in spring 2026 for a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Studio Arts, most likely with a concentration in painting and drawing. And money's still a hardship, not as bad. And my mom, she mostly lives paycheck to paycheck at the moment. My brother and I help with rent, bills, necessities, whatever we can. And your donations, as well as immense amount of support from Lee College, from the Student Resources and Advocacy Center, our virtual medical and mental health care service, Timely Care, the Access Center for Students with Disabilities, where I receive accommodations, and the wonderful staff and faculty, programs, and organizations such as Honors, Puente, and Trio, I'm able to create, explore, and focus on my education. Your donations allow me to give back to this college that I love so much and do things I never thought I could before. I can guide students and lead events, discussions, and new student orientations as a peer mentor. I can be a part of the cheerleading team, as Dr. V mentioned, and bring excitement and support our basketball and volleyball teams and community events. I can speak at academic conferences and travel with the honors program and club. I can pitch in my own student input, even on region and state level in Student Government Association, and I can provide you with what you are listening to right now. Today, I do have a door. I do have insulation. I do have water. I do have electricity. I do have food, and I now have secondary education. And it is with your continuous help that there is now hope. Thank you.